Good morning, citizens of America. This is the U.S. Citizen Journal, Daily Brief for July 3, 2025 AD. I'm here to bring you the latest news from around the world. Let's dive into today's top stories. Following late-night drama, House GOP appears on track to pass Trump's big beautiful bill this morning. Washington. The House of Representatives is heading toward a final vote early Thursday to pass President Trump's sprawling tax and spending bill after party leaders worked through resistance from a handful of rank-and-file members. On Wednesday evening, 5 GOP lawmakers, Thomas Massie of Kentucky, Keith Self of Texas, Victoria Spartz of Indiana, Andrew Clyde of Georgia, and Brian Fitzpatrick of Pennsylvania, voted with Democrats against a procedural rule vote, blocking the party from proceeding to final passage for several hours. A handful of other Republicans held back from voting. What are the Republicans waiting for? Trump posted on Truth Social shortly after midnight. He followed up in an all-caps message. For Republicans, this should be an easy yes vote. Ridiculous. There were signs of potential movement around 1:30 a.m. when Speaker Mike Johnson, R-Law, told reporters that there had been productive conversations with holdouts and that Trump, Vice President J.D. Vance, attorneys and federal agencies were involved. Johnson predicted that the final vote would happen Thursday morning. At about 3 a.m., Johnson said he had the votes and predicted that the final vote would happen by about 8 a.m. After Representative Scott Perry returned to Washington from Pennsylvania, Johnson took a photo of the holdouts on the House floor. Self, Clyde, Massie, and Spartz changed their votes, and enough Republicans backed the procedural question to move forward at 3:23 a.m. Harvard faces potential billion-dollar budget hit from Trump policies. Harvard University would face a budget shortfall of about $1 billion a year if President Trump follows through on all of his plans and threats spanning research funding, tax policy, and student enrollment, according to an analysis by the Wall Street Journal. That grim math helps explain why Harvard has taken steps toward negotiating with the administration after months of defiance. The journal's estimate, based on publicly available data, is for a worst-case scenario in which Harvard loses all federal research funding, federal student aid, and its ability to enroll international students, and Congress hikes its annual endowment tax to 8%. A sustained shortfall of that magnitude would severely strain Harvard's ability to manage its $6.4 billion annual operating budget. Though Harvard has a $53 billion endowment, more than 80% of the money is subject to donor restrictions, meaning it can't be touched to patch budget gaps without inviting lawsuits. They've got enough money to keep going for a while, but eventually they're going to have to make substantial cuts, said Robert Kelchin, a professor at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, who studies education finance. You would change the future of the institution. The Trump administration has sought to make Harvard a poster child in its fight against institutions it says haven't taken concerns about anti-Semitism and diversity programs seriously. Harvard has said it is working to promote intellectual openness in the classroom and to enroll students willing to engage across perspectives. Talks between the two sides were underway as recently as mid-June, according to a social media post by the president. Study: Gen Z, drinking on the rise as baby boomers cut back. Drinking has become more prevalent among Gen Z as baby boomers cut back their alcohol consumption, according to an extensive new study that challenges the narrative that abstinence among young people is driving the industry's decline. An IWSR survey of more than 26,000 people across the 15 largest alcoholic drinks markets found 73% of Gen Z respondents, people of legal drinking age to 27, had consumed alcohol in the previous 6 months, compared with 66% 2 years ago. That was the biggest increase of any generation, according to IWSR, a market researcher for the global beverage industry. Meanwhile, 72% of baby boomers, people aged 60 and over, said they had drunk alcohol over the same time period, compared with 73% 2 years ago, said IWSR, which also found overall alcohol consumption was still moderating across generations. Tesla sales in deep funk as Musk pivots focus to AI and robots. Tesla sales are in a deep funk. Elon Musk insists he doesn't care. The electric car pioneer is stuck in one of its worst sales streaks, with the company reporting Wednesday that global vehicle sales fell 13.5% in the second quarter, compared with a year ago. Vehicle deliveries also dropped 13% in the first quarter. Rivals from General Motors to China's BYD, in the meantime, have churned out high-tech vehicles, stealing market share. And Congress is preparing to pull the plug on U.S. tax credits for electric vehicles, at a time when consumers are shifting back to buying traditional cars. I'd encourage people to look beyond the bumps and potholes of the road immediately ahead of us, Musk told investors in April. Lift your gaze to the bright shining citadel on the hill. Up on that hill is Musk's promise of self-driving taxis and humanoid robots. Even though 3/4 of Tesla's roughly $100 billion in revenue in 2024 came from selling cars, Musk has been telling investors that he has shifted his focus to transforming the company with autonomous vehicles and robots. Trump announces Vietnam Trade Pact, includes crackdown on China transshipping. Donald Trump said the U.S. had struck a trade agreement with Vietnam in a deal that would lower Washington's reciprocal tariff on exports from the Asian country to 20%. The new tariff level represents a more than halving of the 46% levy Trump initially imposed on Vietnam during his Liberation Day tariff blitz on April 2, but is higher than the 10% rate it was lowered to for 90 days as trade talks took place. The deal makes Hanoi one of the few capitals to reach a trade agreement with Washington in the past 3 months. But the steep level of the tariffs remaining in place could unnerve countries still hoping to secure significant relief from the levies announced in April, which triggered a financial market sell-off at the time and upended global trade. Describing the deal as something that they have never done, Trump said in a Truth Social post on Wednesday, detailing the agreement that Vietnam would give the U.S. total access to its market, and that we will be able to sell our product into Vietnam at zero tariff. The U.S. will also charge Vietnam a 40% tariff on transshipping, as Washington seeks to crack down on businesses sending products made in China through other countries to avoid high levies on Chinese goods. July 3, 1775, George Washington takes command of Continental Army. George Washington rides out in front of the American troops gathered at Cambridge Common in Massachusetts and draws his sword, formally taking command of the Continental Army. Washington, a prominent Virginia planter and veteran of the French and Indian War, had been appointed commander-in-chief by the Continental Congress 2 weeks before. In agreeing to serve the American colonies in their war for independence, he declined to accept payment for his services beyond reimbursement of future expenses. That's all for today's brief. Join us again tomorrow for more news and updates. This show was produced by Greg Loving, wishing you a great day ahead. Please follow and rate us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It helps other listeners find us. Stay informed and ad astra per astra.